Good morning. Before I get started with the lecture, I want to say what a tremendous honor it is to be here joining you in Mumbai. This is something that look forward to for some time. I also want to thank Dr. Ramasamy for those wonderful remarks, because one thing that has been seen with the engagement, the expansion of green chemistry, whether it's in Europe, the Americas, Asia, Australia, is that the commitment, the focus, the energy, the urgency of the government is one essential piece. And without that, it will be very difficult for green chemistry to emerge. It is certainly not the only piece. The industrial, academic, NGO partnerships are also, of course, necessary. But this is such an honor for me because it is, more than anything else, a commentary on leadership. This conference is a commentary on leadership in the industrial practice. And for that, I want to certainly, while recognizing that there are a wide range of sponsors and partners in doing this, I do want to recognize Nitesh Mehta for bringing this together, and Nurika for bringing this together, and acknowledge and thank the leadership, the vision that you've brought to us today and over the course of this conference. So thank you very much. It is an important anniversary that was mentioned earlier. 25 years ago, there was an unspeakable tragedy that took place in Bhopal. And the importance of that is to recognize that it would be almost impossible to imagine a greater tragedy to take place. But there is one. The greater tragedy that could take place is that if we allowed that to ever happen again, well, we have the power to stop it. To stop it here or anywhere else in the world. And green chemistry recognizes that these types of tragedies cannot happen in the future. And more than anything, the 12 principles of green chemistry aspire to be a design to ensure that those types of tragedies never can happen again. We are not where we need to be in terms of assuring that. That's why the urgency with which green chemistry needs to be adopted is always a pressing imperative for all of us. Now, it was mentioned that we are at the 12 years of 12 principles, and I have to say the greatest professional satisfaction I've ever had was working and continuing to work with John Warner on seeing the engagement and implementation of those 12 principles. And it's wonderful to see how they have spread across the world into all aspects, all industrial sectors. But yet we meet at a time when we're talking about, for instance, a variety of crises, including the great financial crisis that is facing the world. Now, I am told that it's often said the way to spell out crisis in Chinese contains two characters. That is, one is for danger and the other one is for opportunity. Certainly the danger that we are facing today in terms of the basic building blocks of our society and our economy is that while we are all seeking growth, economic growth, there's a recognition that all growth is not created equal, and that we can certainly achieve growth, 2, 5, 10% growth per year. But that growth can be tremendously unsustainable. That growth, that unsustainable growth, marked most of the 20th century. If we grow in an unsustainable manner, none of us should be surprised at future tragedies. But I have confidence that there is a growing awareness of which green chemistry is one fundamental part of, that we can grow in a way that is sustainable, which brings us to the second character of opportunity. Making sure that industry can do well by doing good, making sure that sustainability is inextricably linked to innovation is what I'm going to spend the rest of my time talking with you about this morning. So from here to sustainability. Sustainability is such an overarching issue, it's often difficult to get your arms around what is really meant by sustainability. And sometimes a visualization of some of the challenges we face is useful. I will turn to the slides and say that while some of the examples I will use today are from the United States, they are broadly applicable. But let's take a look at a wonderful example of stepping back and looking at some of the challenges we face. If we look at this image, it looks simply like a blur. And it's, as we stand back, we realize we need to move into focus and recognize that abstract image is the number of plastic bags used in the United States every 5 seconds. When we step back, we see a wonderful impressionist painting. But when we move in, we realize that that's the number of aluminum cans used in the US every 30 seconds. Could this be a sandy beach or the number of cell phones disposed of every day in the United States? Perhaps a moonscape, or the number of plastic containers used every 5 minutes. So these challenges are there, they're real, but we can ask ourselves this question of, well, why should I do green chemistry? It's not my job. If we think about the chef who makes delicious meals, sure, they're poisonous, but there are other chefs working on non-lethal cooking. Or we think about the architect. The homes I make are beautiful and luxurious. Sure, they collapse and kill people on a regular basis, but there are other people working on safe housing. The car designer who says, I make the fastest, most beautiful cars in the world. Yes, they often fall apart and explode unexpectedly, but there are other people working on sustainable cars. Let's turn to the chemist. I've developed some of the best synthetic methodologies for making hundreds of target molecules, tremendous performance. Yeah, they harm humans and pollute the environment, but there are other people working on green chemistry. For the exact same reasons that those first 3 slides are absurd, this 4th slide is absurd. And recognizing that we just build in these perspectives of green and sustainable chemistry into how we achieve performance is going to be essential. So there has been an awful lot of attention on green chemistry, and we should ask ourselves, well, what's the big deal? Why is there such an area of interest right now? Well, the Nobel Prize Committee did comment about how some of the research recently awarded was a great leap forward for green chemistry. In the US, our national academies called it one of the great challenges and the new frontier. having the products themselves being examined.